Welcome to the Ordinary Marathoner podcast.
Hello and welcome to the Ordinary Marathoner podcast. My name is Scott. I'll be your host today. I got a great show for you guys today. I got a great guest. She was in studio not long ago, and we did about a 50-minute interview or so. I will say about 2 or 3 minutes of the audio cut out. I think this my equipment's getting a little bit old here, and I don't know. I think some of the wire, something was up. I don't know. It just came out fuzzy, but the rest of it's great. And she was an amazing interview, and you're really gonna like it. During those 3 minutes, I will interject. You'll hear me interject and just give you just sort of like a little recap of what was said over that period of time. But it won't really. I don't think it'll affect your experience too badly. Hopefully. Today's episode is brought to you by Queen Bean Coffee, a great supporter of the Ordinary Marathon. We love being sort of partners with them. And I gotta tell you, I keep tons of Q cups on hand at all time for my Keurig. And I know you're saying, Q cup, what's a Q cup? Well, she doesn't use the K cup term. She uses Q for Queen Bean, which also starts with Q. It's funny how that happens. I actually think it's kind of interesting. It's unique. It's, brilliant, original, whatever you want to call it. But check them out at thequeenbean.com and order some coffee. They great local small business. Love having them on board as supporters of the Ordinary Marathon. As always, you can find this and the back episodes of our podcast at our website, ordinarymarathoner.com. Check that out if you get a chance. You can also find them at the aggregators, places like Stitcher and TuneIn and iTunes. I think we're on another thing lately. I forget. What's that called? Spotify. I think we're on Spotify now too. I don't really know. I got to check that out. But if you like the show, hit that subscribe button. You'll never miss a new episode that way. You can also find us at our YouTube channel. I put the audio of all these interviews on our YouTube channel. It's, guess what it's called? Ordinary Marathoner. But head on over there and hit that subscribe button. We could really use the YouTube subscribers. We're trying to build that out. We do, Stephanie's Couch to 5K, a little hiccup this week. Little hiccup. She didn't do a video. I'm on her case about it. We'll definitely do one next week, but she has her 5K planned March 24th. She's going to be doing it, and hopefully we'll get a little update on her progress on our video series there. What else we got? Our Facebook discussion group, Ordinary Marathoners. It's a closed group, so you got to add yourself to it. We'll put you right through. A great group of people over there, always posting their training, their runs, their bikes, their whatever they're doing. A supportive group. If you have questions, you usually get a really good answer, a really good discussion going. And really, it's one of my favorite things about doing this podcast is the people that we've gotten to know over at that discussion group. So if you're not part of the group, add yourself to it. It's really worth it. I'm telling you, it's worth it. You can also find me at Twitter at OrdMarathoner. That's ORD Marathoner. Follow me there, and I will follow you back and get the conversation going on over there. The Ordinary Marathon is 2 months away, not even a month and a half away. If you don't get your order in, if you don't get registered by April 1, you won't be able to get a personalized bib, which may not mean too much to you, but I'm telling you, it's really cool. It's a really cool addition to the race. I'd love to see you guys with, you guys are really creative sometimes with those bib names, and would love to have, we need some more people to sign up. So hook us up, help us out. We're going to talk a little bit about the race with Kat during the podcast today. And with that, actually, let's just bring in our guest. She is a local runner. She's a neighbor of mine. I didn't even know. It's like I've known this woman probably about a year. Did you say a year?
Yeah, probably about a year.
She works down at the Fleet Feet store in Longmeadow, which is my local running store. And, I've known her for like a year. I never knew how fast she was. Kat Morrissey, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
So, like I said, I've known you for about a year, just coming in and out of the store. And then I sat down, you guys are helping us with our virtual race.
Yeah.
The Ordinary Marathon. So I sat down with Tim Murphy, who runs the store. And Tim told me that you came in 6th place at the Marine Corps Marathon.
I did. 6th place female.
And then, it's funny because you guys are so nice when you come to the store, and it's always, hey, what are you training for? What's going on? I never ask you guys. And it turns out you're awesome.
I had a good day.
Yeah.
Everyone has their day.
Well, we're gonna talk about that race a little bit more in a few minutes. But I guess it's kind of neat how local. Like you're like sixth place Marine Corps Marathon lives in my town. And I'm like, it's unbelievable how like local this sport can be. But so I guess what my first question is, why don't you give us a little bit of background on yourself and how you got into running and how you got started? Was this sort of like just natural?
I've been an athlete my whole life. I grew up playing soccer, played basketball, went to Fitchburg State, played soccer there, and kind of ran in my off seasons, ran indoor in the winter, ran outdoor in the spring. And I think that's where I kind of actually lost my love for running at the time. It ended up being just a really long year between getting to school before school started for preseason, staying really late after with the end of running into May when everyone's gone. So it was very tedious doing something all year. And then after I graduated, I was like, well, I used to run a lot. Why did I ever stop? So kind of started running again, getting a little more into it, and it kind of just took off from there. I kind of refound my love for running, I guess.
So would you say, I mean, did it feel like a job, like going to practice? Like, oh.
It did. Soccer didn't, because that was the one thing I really wanted to do, and I had started off running just for soccer, and it did. It turned into a chore. Spending all day at meets on the weekends was hard.
Right.
Everybody went home for breaks or did things with family and friends on the weekend, and I was stuck at school, stuck in track meets the entire day. So it did feel like a chore. So once it wasn't that anymore, and I could do what I wanted, when I wanted, whatever distance I wanted, it became fun again.
So when you were doing track, were you mostly long distance or were you like more sprinter?
I ran everything from the 400, the 4x4, all the way up to steeplechase, 5K.
I never understood the steeplechase. I like, why just, it's like you have a nice little track here. Why just throw water in the middle of it?
I call it the horse race for humans.
Right.
It's really what it is. I don't know how I got into it. It is hard. I think it's harder than most races I've ever done.
It's just because your sneakers get wet?
It's that puddle.
Do you wear special sneakers
no,
for
you wear
it?
spikes. You wear whatever spikes you usually run in, but that
like flippers. You should wear flippers.
The water pit's deep, and I'm little, so trying to get far enough out so that I'm not sinking my whole body into a pit of water is hard.
That's funny. So how long was it when you left school until you got back into it?
Probably another 2 years, I think. I ran just a few small 5Ks when I was home on Thanksgiving, St. Patrick's Day. I've never really been a winter runner, so I always took from Thanksgiving to St. Patrick's Day off and kind of just was like, well, I guess I'll start again. It's St. Patrick's Day. Everyone does that race.
Right, yeah. We were just talking about that before the show, actually. There's a race in a town called Holyoke near us on St. Patrick's Day, or on St. Patrick's Day weekend, I guess. And it's very unique.
It's hard. It is the hardest race I've ever done. But it's fun.
And it's a 10K. And have you ever done any distance longer than a marathon?
No.
You ever think about it?
No. I think the marathon is long enough.
Yeah, it is pretty long.
But I think I might take a marathon over the Holyoke 10K any day.
Yeah. I mean, I was just saying before the show, like this race in Holyoke is like 6 miles and like 5 of them are uphill.
And you don't ever feel like you're going downhill. And they torture you at the very end with that tiny little bit of uphill just to get to the end.
It's a torturous 10K. But then the best part about it is St. Patty's Day after, and then and it's like a party.
Yeah.
They really do it right.
They do.
Now, have you ever seen the guy running with the tuba?
Yes, and my life goal is to never get beat by the guy with the tuba. If I ever get beat by the guy with the tuba, I'm done running. My running career will end.
The guy he runs the whole race with
every year.
Yeah, it's crazy. All right, so let's go back. So you took 2 years off, and then you started running on your own. Now, had you ever thought about running a marathon? When was running marathon when did it become a thing for you? When did it become an idea in your head that you thought maybe I want to do that?
It wasn't ever really an idea. So October of last year, I did my first half marathon. A few months before that.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my God! So it was recent.
It was recent.
Oh my God!
I found myself a coach.
Wait, was Marine Corps Marathon your first marathon?
My first marathon, yes.
My God, I am not worthy. All right, come on.
So I decided I'm going to run a half marathon, but if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it right. Yeah. Found myself a coach.
Which one did you do?
I did Hartford.
Oh, okay.
And after that, I was
that's really close to the Marine Corps. It's like 2 weeks before.
Yeah. Oh, 2 years ago. I'm sorry.
Oh, it's 2 years.
2 years ago.
Oh,
yeah.
all right.
So I said, I'll do a half. We'll see how it goes. I'll be one and done.
Yeah.
I think I'm good with the shorter distances. And turns out that whole runner's high is a real thing. I finished and was like, all right, what am I going to sign up for next? Did a couple halves after that, and my coach had been telling me for a while, you're going to get the bug, like you're going to want to run a marathon, and I denied it.
Wow.
And finally was like, well, why not? I ran half of it. I can run a whole one, right?
That happens to everyone, right? It's like, I remember finishing, I did the Iron Horse half in Simsbury?
Yeah, Simsbury.
Simsbury. And I did it with a friend of mine, Aura Kennedy. And we finished it. We were both in so much pain. We were like, and we were walking back to the car. And I didn't say walking, but we were like trudging back to the car. Like it was like the car was so far away, and it really wasn't, but just felt it. And we're like, why do we do this to ourselves? And like an hour later, I was somewhere, she was somewhere, and I got a text message, when are we signing up for the next one?
That's how it happens.
It's like the act of actually running it kind of sucks. It's like for some reason it's the before and the training and that leads up to it and the journey that leads up to it, and then the after. That sense of accomplishment that you get. So, all right. So you did a few halves. When did you pull the trigger on Marine Corps? When was it? And and how did you identify Marine Corps as the one you wanted to do?
I don't even remember. I think I was just really debating it, and I saw that there was the lottery, and entered the lottery. On a whim, and I think
It's open soon, by the way.
It was going to be my deciding factor. I was like, if I get in, I'm doing a marathon. If I don't get in, I'm not doing a marathon. And that was the attitude I kind of had in my head. And I actually didn't get in.
Okay.
My boss at Fleet Feet also applied for it. So we said, well, we'll both go do it together. And she got in, and I did it. Yeah, Jill got in, and I did it. And I was like, oh, well, I guess it wasn't meant to be. I'm never going to run a marathon. It turns out she couldn't do it. So she transferred it to me.
So when did she transfer? How long did you, because I know it's probably at least a month in advance that.
The transfer process is a little weird. I think it was, you enter in March, the end of March, I believe. And then whenever they let you know, you can't transfer it until June. So I still had some time where I was like, well, maybe I'm not going to do a marathon. And once it was transferred, I was like, all right, I'm all in. This is happening.
So assuming it was like June, so you still had like 4 months to train, and like, so did you just kick it into gear? How, like, what, I mean, was it like Rocky music in the background and like changing your life? And
I say that I said it was either Marine Corps or nothing, but I think in the back of my mind, I would have found another one to do because it was already lingering back there.
Once you have it, you're going to do it. And I entered New York City Marathon in 2001, and I entered the lottery. I was running maybe 4 miles a day, and I didn't get in, and then I let myself go. And it was the exact opposite. Yeah. So once I had the idea in my brain, I lost it once I didn't get in the lottery. And I gained like 20 pounds. And then in October, I got an email. And because of September 11th, which happened that year, a lot of the foreign runners couldn't come in. And it was, do you want to run? And I'm like, yeah, I'm like really fat. I can't. Why?
You got it now. Did you do it?
So, I did not.
No.
I did not. I was you know what? I was, at that point, running wasn't a thing for me. I was like kind of like lifting, and I was running in Central Park for a little bit. And I'm like, all right, if I sign up for the marathon, this will be the motivation that I need to train all summer. And then so all summer went, and I didn't do anything. Yeah. And I don't know. I think at that age, I was in my mid-20s. It was like, I hadn't embraced running yet. It took me a while, a few years later. It was always like, and it was such a daunting challenge to do 26.2. So, especially I couldn't even run 5 miles at the time. So it was like, I don't know where we get this
We say that at work all the time. They need something between the marathon. The half marathon to the marathon is a very big jump.
Yeah,
I need a solid 18 or something. You got to give me something in between, because it is a daunting jump just to double what you did.
Yeah, you get to mile 15, 16. I always said the same thing about golf. Like, golf should be like 15 holes, because those last 3 are like worthless. I get bored, I'm done. And I think maybe the same thing with marathon. It should be like 16,
20,
17,
20 those tops. 20 tops if we're going to go any longer.
All right, so let's go to Marine Corps Marathon. Is that where I want to go? Yeah. All right. So first of all, I can't believe this was your first marathon. How were you feeling like going into it? Like, was this like, were you thinking I'm going to be competitive in this thing, or were you thinking I just want to finish this and get a medal and check it off the box and then move on?
I kind of go into every race with a few goals. Like, the ultimate goal, I think in my mind, was to break 3 hours.
Right.
Which was a pretty lofty goal.
That's pretty good,
considering it was my first marathon. But
yeah, but I mean, in Marine Corps, so Marine Corps, just for the listeners, it's called the People's Marathon. And one of the reasons why is because they don't have any prize money.
Right.
So a lot of the top runners, meaning, your competitive ones. By the way, does anyone ever tell you that you look like a marathoner, a famous marathoner?
I do get Des Linden a lot,
Yes.
which is quite the compliment. I'm like, I'll take that. I'll take it any day. I get it a lot.
I just wanted to say, so like Des Linden probably wouldn't run this one because she would, miss out on 50 grand or something, whatever, Boston Marathon paid out. Not to belittle your accomplishment, but
I think that's what
3
makes
hours,
it better, though.
Yeah, and 3 hours, when you probably looked at former winners, it's like you're gonna be up there.
Yeah.
So, So here's the part where the sound cuts out. Kat talks a little bit about her Marine Corps marathon finish and achieving her sub 3 hour time. And then we do discuss a little bit how the race had a cheater. It was actually a woman got caught cheating, Kat came in 7th place when she finished. But then official results after one disqualification, she wound up being a 6th place finisher. And that's where we pick it up.
The people who were out there for hours and hours who still finished a marathon, I think it's belittling to them, and
I agree.
Makes all their hard work seem like it doesn't matter because you came walking across the finish line in 6th place.
Yeah. I don't know. Like they have this. Ever see the marathon investigator guy? I talk about him a bunch of times on a podcast. I got to get him on here.
Well, that's how I found out. Somebody sent me the link to their site.
Yeah.
And so I immediately was like, oh my God, I might have moved up to spot. I have to go. I got to find out what happened.
Yeah. It just bothers me so much that, I don't know, that someone can do that. And it seems pervasive. Like, it's like they don't even have to look hard to find cheaters. They're just everywhere.
Right.
Everywhere, every race. It's frustrating.
I just think it makes, running a marathon, let alone running a 3 hour marathon's great. It's huge. Like, it's a huge accomplishment. Running a marathon in general is amazing. So I think you're just taking away from all the people that worked really hard to be there to cut the course, go walk across the finish line and say you did it.
Yeah. And I don't know. Did you see that there's like Johnny Manziel's girlfriend? I don't know if you
I did see that.
Geez,
they're going to get caught. I don't know why people are still trying. They're going to get caught.
It's, I don't know. And the worst is like not only do they get caught, but then they deny it.
Yeah.
Oh, what are you talking about? No. And then they reverse it and they call the other guy the jerk when it's in reality, whatever.
It confuses me that people don't understand how timing works because there are mats that track you the entire time.
I don't know. It drives me insane that they cheat. Anyway. So Fleet Feet, like obviously I know you work there. Mm-hmm. I see you all the time. How did that come about? Like, that's your sport? Here's a store. This could be a really cool way to spend some time. Yeah.
My stars actually kind of aligned with Fleet Feet. I had been managing a Starbucks for about 5 years, which was just kind of my post-college job. I kind of didn't really know where I wanted to go, what I wanted to do. And had gotten back into running again and saw that Fleet Feet was looking for someone. So applied, and turned out they were looking for someone to come manage their store, be involved in the running community, which is exactly what I want to do. So it kind of just worked out perfectly.
Yeah. Were you in the Long Meadow Starbucks or?
East Long Meadow.
Okay.
East
All
Long
right.
Meadow Starbucks. And it really worked out perfectly. I woke up one day and was like, what? Before my interview with them, and was like, this would be what I want to do. Like, I run, I know about it, I can work with runners, I can relate to them. And it's been about a year and a half now, and it's perfect. So
we actually have another one of the employees from there, Heather Samuelson, came in, and we had her on the podcast probably like 2 years ago now. And I want to say it was her, but I can't be, she told me once, I think it was her, but it might have been somebody else, that the best part about working in a running store is when someone comes in and you can kind of tell they're a little nervous and they're just starting. And, I think it takes a lot of courage for someone who's just starting running, especially if they're out of shape, to kind of walk into a specialty store, like a running store, where you assume that you're going to walk in and everyone there has run a marathon and everyone there is in great shape and everyone there. So how do you, what would you say? I guess I kind of wanted to put a little bit of a message, I guess, out there for new runners. how do you guys handle like when someone comes in and obviously, is it a, like, how would you deal with that? Not deal with, but how do you approach, I guess, a brand new runner?
I think it's intimidating and daunting for anyone. I went into Fleet Feet before I was an employee there to get shoes when I said, I'm actually going to start running now. And that was even intimidating for me. And I have run most of my life. So I can only imagine what it is for someone who even thinks they want to start running. And I think that that's where Fleet Feet offers a really good community of people. We offer a lot of training programs, and especially we have a 5K training program. We see a lot of people start out where we have walkers, walk runners, and mentors for everyone. And I think that's the biggest thing I try to push with people if they have the time and the availability to commit to have a group, because it's really motivating and it's really inspiring to watch all of them start out as walkers, move up to running, do a 5K, do a 10K. Some of them we've seen now do their first half or do their first, full marathon. And I think you just have to take it day by day. Would be my biggest piece of advice. You know, it sounds cliche, you have to walk before you can run, but you really do. And I think that's what's so great about working in a place like Fleet Feet is that we offer that to people and we can relate to those people and we can do it in a way that they're not intimidated and that they feel supported. And that's the best part about it.
That's great. And it seems like you have I just kind of threw that question out, but you had like a really cool answer. And, I see your groups running around. I mean, I live a mile away from the store. And, so I see the groups running sometimes very early in the morning. They run by my house sometimes. So there is a lot of participation. And you guys are helping us out with our virtual race, the Ordinary Marathon, which, we're going to do a 5K as part. So we do a 10-day virtual race. And the last day, which is actually Cinco de Mayo, is going to be the 5K that we're running with you guys.
Out of the store, right?
Out of the store.
Yeah.
And I think right now we have about 5 people running it.
So far. Everyone signs up once it gets closer. You got plenty of time.
Yeah. So, but I'm kind of excited to kind of, get together sort of with the running community. It's kind of, we've kind of stayed on, we have the podcast, we have our Facebook group, but it's all, and I hate to use the word global because it sounds like we're everywhere, but it's almost like global. We're all around except for right here. So, it's like, it's good to kind of, try to get that community aspect, I think, into our brand, Ordinary Marathoner brand. And we're really looking forward to that.
I think that's what is great about Fleet Feet too, is that everyone is so welcoming. And it turns into this giant community. And the people that are in our groups and have been in our groups for a long time are like family to us. We see them all the time. They are at the store as frequently as we are sometimes. And
that's where you guys meet for the runs.
That's where everyone meets. Yeah. They just become smaller niche groups of people, which is awesome. Yeah. So we see people who've come in like, I've never run before, and then they find a group that they really become friends with. So they start running outside of group runs from the store and doing races together. And that's what I think is really great about it, is that you just meet people that you never expected to meet, form these bonds with people, and then it turns into bigger and better things for everybody.
Yeah. And we've had a little of that in our group too. We had, so some people just, they meet online and then they're doing the same race, whether it be Chicago, New York or whatever, and they're doing the same run, race, and they wind up meeting up and then they post their picture on the page. And I'm like, wow, like that would have never happened without our group. So you probably have very similar instances where it's like you watch your babies grow up.
Yep, it is. We do. We watch them start in a 5K group, graduate to a marathon.
That's incredible.
I feel like a proud mom. I know Tim and Jill feel like proud parents too. They've been doing it a long time. So watching people get better and meet their goals and want to do more has been awesome. And
so Stephanie, my wife Stephanie, is thinking about, she's been saying for months, I'm going to go do the group. I'm going to, and she's been doing her Couch to 5K program that we've been doing a video series for. Although she didn't do an episode this week. And I've been on, like, I'm on her case. I'm like, you got to take this seriously. You said you do an episode every week. You didn't do it. She's in the doghouse.
Oh, I'll let her know before I leave.
But yeah, she's been, she's got interest in going to the group and starting there. She's supposed to run Marine Corps this year. So we're actually both going into the lottery. Unfortunately, only one of us can run because I can't push a stroller.
No.
They won't let me.
No. Well, the good thing about Marine Corps too, which a lot of people
have
don't
daycare?
know, I don't know about the daycare part, is they actually have a time frame before the lottery opens. It's in either an hour or the first, I believe, 7,000 people. Like the hour
rush,
before the
right?
lottery, the rush
Yeah,
lottery.
the
So
rush.
if you don't want to take your chances with the lottery, if you can get into the rush, you're
Yeah.
guaranteed entry in, which is
Yeah,
awesome.
so I think, so we're going to both go into the lottery. And if we do the rush, well, that would be even better. But we're going to both, if not, we're both get into the lottery. Assuming one of us out of two will get in. And then if it's me, I think she's the one that's going to run it. So if it's me, I can do what you did and transfer it to her. And if it's both of us, then I can defer mine to next year and then she can watch the baby. Well,
Yeah, then it's your turn.
But, so another thing that you guys are doing this year, which I'm going to get involved in, I haven't registered yet, is the Hoop City.
Hoop City.
Hoop
Yes.
City Marathon.
Hoop City is going to be awesome. We talk a lot about how every big city has their marathon.
True.
And we do not. Being so close to Springfield, the birthplace of basketball, it's really exciting. Tim, our owner at Fleet Feet, has been kind of toying with this idea for a long time, and
Yep.
it's kind of finally coming to fruition, and I think it's going to be really awesome. We're going to have a lot of Springfield colleges involved, a lot of
Nice.
local businesses involved.
Cool.
So it's going to be awesome to have something that's our own and just to bring people into Springfield. And I think Springfield tends to get not the best, vibe from people sometimes,
Yeah.
and they don't have the best.
Well, there's just places in Springfield you want to, I
you
worked
may
in
not
downtown
necessarily wanna
Springfield
go.
and it's like sometimes you walk out and I feel like everyone wants to beat me up, but
It's gonna take you through the really beautiful parts of
Yes.
Springfield. Forest
And there's
Park,
being
on the Springfield
yeah.
College campus, the Basketball Hall of Fame, all
Yeah.
the things that
And I
people
think-
want to come see.
right. And I think that's a great idea because I feel like, like you said, that Springfield in a way, it gets a bad rap because the bad parts of Springfield get kind of, really, I guess every city, there's parts of New York I wouldn't want to go to. There's parts of Chicago you wouldn't want to go to. But, it's like every major city has that. But it's good it's probably a great way to just get around and see all, you see all the sights of Springfield, which there are some.
And to celebrate the
joke.
things Springfield really has to offer people. So
Yeah.
I think it'll be really awesome.
As long as you don't make us go up and down those hills in Forest Park, which I don't think you are.
I can't promise that.
The
route is still
down the
being
hill would be fine.
the route is still being finalized, so I can't make that promise, but we'll keep our fingers crossed.
So I talked to Tim about it, and he was like, "Oh, I know, like there are some major hills in Forest Park.
Yes.
Like hills that you don't want to." I ran a 5K there with a guy, my friend Alex, who is like this military guy. He's in really good shape. So me and him would run Forest Park together, and he would run ahead, and then he would like find a curve or something, and he would wait for me and do push-ups. And I'd turn the corner and he's sitting there doing push-ups. I'm like, come on, dude.
It's just mean.
So we ran a 5K in Forest Park, and he, there's that one hill up near the baseball field where you go up,
yeah.
you know what I'm talking about? The Picknelly Field.
It's soul crushing is what it is.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It really is bad. And it's really steep. It's not that long, but it's really steep. And after the 5K, he's like, man, I had to walk up that hill. And I'm like, well, first, like, haha, I didn't. I ran it. I ran it slow.
I made it up though.
But, yeah. So, I mean, even, I can't imagine that hill at like mile 24.
We're gonna keep our fingers crossed that that's not one of the ones that you have to go up or down.
Yeah.
But they are still in the process of finalizing everything, so
Yeah.
hopefully that'll be done soon.
But that's cool. I'm looking forward to that. So I'm signing up for that. You know what? So I did Hartford last year. Very sort of like a really weird year for me. So I DNF'd Lake Placid, and then I ran Hartford Marathon. And I PR'd it, which for me is not, I mean, it's like double your time.
And the weather wasn't that great, so that's even more impressive.
It wasn't that bad. It wasn't that bad this year. It might have been cold.
Cold and rainy, I think it was.
Oh, it was rainy. Yeah. You're right.
So you don't
Maybe
remember it.
maybe it distracted me. Maybe the rain distracted me. But yeah, so I ran it in 5 hours, and then, so I kind of have like a little, it's my PR race. So I kind of have a little love for Hartford, and it actually wasn't bad. And if I wasn't by myself, I probably would have hung around and enjoyed because it had a really good, you did the half, so
yeah.
you know.
Hartford does a really good job with all of their races.
Yeah.
The crowd support, the people, all the vendors, all the stuff they put together.
It was a good race. Like I was very, very happy with it. And I was kind of upset that I never ran it before, even the half. Maybe I'll do the half this year. So Hoop City is before Hartford or after?
Hoop City will be October 6th.
All
so
right.
it will be the weekend before before.
It's really close.
Yeah.
Okay, so if I did, all right, theoretically speaking, I could I could limp around a half marathon.
You can do it. Come on, you can only do the inaugural marathon once.
That's true.
You can only say you've done the inaugural marathon once.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I'm doing Hoop City. I'm kind of like, I don't know. You guys are helping me out with my race, so yeah, I gotta support the local race. And I actually, from a distance, it has like a really good chance to be a really awesome race.
I think it's gonna be.
Yeah.
I think just with all the route and everything, with the people we're hopefully gonna have on board to sponsor it.
Yeah.
I think it's gonna be great.
That's cool. That's really cool.
And it's different, people around here do Hartford, they do Newport, kind of. And I know for a lot of people, it's what they do every year because that's what there is that time of year. So it'll be nice to give people a change of scenery, a new race to do.
Yeah.
And
well, I'll tell you, what, for me, it's, we're going to be traveling for Marine Corps, but my options are like the last few, I've done New York a bunch of times, and the travel and the cost, and this one I'm going to roll out of bed, and, I could probably jog to the starting line.
Yeah. I think that's what's going to be the best part. I think I loved Marine Corps. It was great for me personally. Being in a big city, not really knowing where I was going was really, I think, the hardest part of running a marathon. I was terrified about how to get to the start line, how to get around, where I even was. And so fortunately for people who are local to this area, that's something they don't have to deal with. And especially, people growing up here, you can ride your bike to the start if you really want to.
So now the question is, are you running it?
I will not be running it. I will be helping. We are all hands on deck for that race.
So how are you going to find volunteers? Because marathon, you got to staff a lot of volunteers.
We do. I think, we have a lot of guys from Team RWB. They're a group of
that's awesome.
former military and veterans.
Yeah, red, white, and blue.
Yep. So they're going to do some stuff for us. We have a lot of, I think some of our training program members are going to be really helpful. Yeah. And then I think we're just going to hope for the best when it comes to volunteers.
Yeah.
We've helped out with a lot of races and do a lot for local communities and groups, so hopefully they can give us a hand.
Right.
Because you need between water stops and
Stephanie
gear
will volunteer. I'm going to volunteer her
Sign her up right now.
Yeah.
She's in.
She's running Marine Corps. So she's, Marine Corps is probably like 3 weeks after, and there's no way she's going to be running that. Even that. Well,
it could be a tune-up half.
There's a chance she could do the half. Because actually, now that I think about it, she was talking about that. I got a feel. Look, she can't even finish her Couch to 5K video, so I got a feeling.
I have faith in her. We're signing her up.
She might be transferring that to me and watching the baby this year. I don't know. But yeah, I we'll see if she signs up for the half. That would be, 3 weeks ahead.
Yeah,
it's not a bad training run.
Yeah, I did the Newport half this year, a couple weeks before Marine Corps, so it was a good,
not a bad training run.
Half race before the big one.
Yeah, so you got a lot to look forward to. I don't know. You beat your expectations in your first race. Probably, coming in 6th has to be like a wow. Wow. It
still doesn't feel real sometimes to say out loud.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm like, holy crap. 6. There's 30,000 people at that race. I don't even. My husband was so adorable. He stood at the finish line and counted every single woman that came through.
He didn't have to count many.
He didn't, and he is actually the one that insisted. He was like, "You were 6th." I counted every woman that came through, and then we were looking at the times and everything, and I was like, "I don't know," and he's like, "I counted every single one."
That's really so. Did he not even maybe?
I think she jumped in just after where he was.
Oh, where? Oh,
there's a teeny tiny hill that they put in at the very end to torture you.
Oh yes, we love that hill.
That was the worst hill.
We love
Felt
that
like a mile long.
But it's not really that long. It's just it's like the other hill we were talking about before in Forest Park. It's like short and steep.
And it's the point too.
But you see the finish, and I don't know if this was there when you're there, because I was there 3 hours after you. But they had like Marines at the bottom of the hill, like yelling at you to get up. Yeah. And I tell you, like you run 26.1 miles, and there's Marines yelling at you to get up the hill.
Running.
You get up that damn hill.
I'm gonna do whatever you say right now.
Yes, but it's like you would think that would be the most difficult thing in the world, but it's actually it's almost like it's like the cherry on top. I feel like
it is, and the part that I think was the most humbling is that the Marines medal you at the very end.
Oh, that part too.
That
yeah,
part.
yeah.
And they're giving out water, giving out food, waiting on you, thanking you. And they're all dressed in their uniforms, thanking you for running a marathon while they, you know, protect our country and do so much more important things. And that I didn't even know what to say.
Yeah, yeah.
I think I almost cried at the end. I was like, here I am getting a medal from a Marine.
And it's at the War Memorial.
Right at the War Memorial.
Ah, it's awesome. It's such an awesome. I mean, what a great race. It's a great race. And you know, like my father was Marine. Stephanie's father was Marine. And they actually had really cool shirts the year I did it. I don't know if they had cool.
I don't know that I'd call them cool this year. Have you
seen
them?
I didn't see them.
Oh, they're unfortunate.
Yeah.
So unfortunate that they made a video of bad tweets that people posted about
really?
the shirt.
Oh,
but at least Marine Corps
cool.
has a sense of humor. Marine Corps made the video.
Yeah.
So
I
at
wound
least
up
they have a sense of humor about
I wound up
it.
sending my shirt to my father, who wears it all the time. I kept the medal.
Well, yeah.
He ain't getting that.
That's the proof that it happened.
He wasn't getting that.
That's what we do.
They have cool medals, though,
they do.
too.
That's the
at
cool
least.
part.
I mean, they couldn't script the medal.
No, the shirt.
Yeah, I tell you, so Lake Placid 2 years ago, the shirt that I got, the finisher shirt, is like ugly as sin. It's really bad. And then so last year I went, and so Ironman does it different. Ironman, so most races you sign up for it, and they'll give you the shirt in the packet. Right? Mm-hmm. So like if you guys do a race, so Ironman, you get the finisher shirt when you finish.
Yeah.
So when you DNF Ironman, you don't get one. So when I DNF last year, of course they had like the coolest shirts.
Oh no!
Like, cool. Why didn't they have the cool shirts when I ran? I got this
you gotta
ugly.
Redeem yourself.
I know. They better have cool shirts next year. It's gonna drive me nuts.
That's what we do it for. The cool stuff. We want the shirts, the bling. We say that at work all the time. We do it for the bling.
So what's on deck for you?
Few little races between now and end of September. I'm doing the New England 10-miler series.
Okay.
A bunch.
How many is that?
That's 3 10-mile races. Okay. One in Portland, Maine, one in Newport, and one in Stowe, Vermont. So there's a group of us that run with 18 Maple, and we are all going to go do them together. They have a team category.
Oh, is that your coach?
Yep.
Someone told me about them recently.
Yep. So Sarah Kelly, she's my coach. She's the head of 18 Maple out of Continuum Performance Center in Long Meadow. Come join us. You can join our team. So we're all going to do those.
I'm just dragged down the average score.
And I've got a couple halves, and I think my next full marathon is going to be the Clarence DeMar Marathon in New Hampshire.
Okay. And why that one?
It's local. Time-wise, it fits really well. I'm really good as a summer runner. I'm one of those crazy people that's okay with it being 100 degrees out and miserable when it's 5 degrees out. So time-wise, it worked out perfectly. And as much as I loved going to Marine Corps and wanting to go back, it's a longer time commitment getting there and being there a couple days and the cost associated with it.
So Stephanie and I have like a theory as to why you're running this race. Because you think that you can win it.
I like to think that on any given day, anyone can win any race.
I can't win it.
Fingers crossed.
Is it, obviously it's a lesser known marathon than Marine Corps, so you're going to get a lot less people. But like we said, I don't know if they have prize money or anything like that, like the way Marine Corps does it.
I don't even know.
Yeah. So,
I just signed up because it was local.
Yeah.
And I wanted to be able to do something around here and not have it be, like a 5-day long event.
Right.
So I don't even know.
So the 5-day long events, is that just something that you don't like in general all the time? Or is there any part of you that kind of says, you know what? I would love to one day run New York, Chicago, London.
I do have the majors on my running bucket list. I'd like to get to all of them. So hopefully my plan for next year is to do Boston and New York.
Yeah. Must be nice just be like, oh yeah, I'll qualify for Boston. You probably got that in the back pocket. So did you actually, did you register for it? So Marine Corps Marathon last year would be a Boston qualifier, not for this year, but the following.
Yep.
So are you?
Yes. So that's
awesome.
I'll be in for 2020. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Was that part of your thinking going into Marine Corps? If you're sub 3, you're qualifying.
Yeah. I think my big thing was, everyone, if you're going to run a marathon, I think the ultimate goal is to qualify for Boston. Everyone kind of sees that as the marathon of all marathons.
Yeah.
So that's was,
awesome.
I think, my big goal there is
3
hours toying in the back of my mind, that's what I wanted to do. But if nothing else,
and by then you'll be
qualify for
trained up.
Boston.
You're going to be like top 5 American female finishers.
Hopefully everyone will just confuse
And
me
then I'll
with
be like,
Linden.
and then I'll be like, yeah, right. I thought, yeah.
Everyone will just think I'm her, hopefully. So yeah, I know it's a smaller marathon, but I don't know, it fits in my training schedule. I work a lot of hours. My husband works a lot of hours. It's local, so it just works out well for me.
So you ran today.
I did.
Just before the show you ran.
Yes.
And it's cold.
It is very cold.
So you're out there running in the cold. You're out there. So I'm an indoor runner. I don't, you guys are crazy. But, has this become, let me think. I'm trying to think of how to frame this. So you went to run Marine Corps Marathon and you knew you were going to be you wanted to be sub 3. Have you ever thought, like, I can be like super competitive in this sport? Like it would be a little bit of a leap to get to like that. What's a female finisher, 2:30?
At Marine Corps, it was like 2:40, I believe.
Yeah. You're close.
I am close. And I think if finishing and getting that 2:54 was amazing for me. And I didn't really think much of it after. I think I was just still so in awe. And then someone in the back, had to throw it out there, the B time for the Olympic trials is 2:45 or 2:47. That's seconds away.
Yeah.
9 minutes is a lot of minutes.
It is when you're that fast.
But that doesn't mean that idea isn't kind of toying in the back of my head. That's a very lofty goal.
Yeah.
But who knows?
Yeah. But, like any given day, like you said, even if Marine Corps was you could 10 minutes plus or minus, who knows? You wake up on a good day and you go and you tack it and things work the right way and next thing you know, you're at the Olympics.
So I can't say that's actually on my dream list, but being able to say that would be amazing.
Yeah.
So I think I need a lot more time and a lot more running and a lot more work to do. But
and then I can watch you on TV and we'd be like, she was on the podcast.
Yes, that was me.
She was on the podcast once, remember? That's awesome.
Then I could say I feel worthy, not just the girl in East Long Meadow that Scott was like, come be on my podcast.
No way. This is I think Mike Riley is my probably most famous guest, and then you're probably now number 2. There you go. 6th place, soon to be a rock star. I'm excited for that. That's crazy. I can't believe that I have a potential Olympian in my town.
See, and that's what makes it scary to say,
And for a year, I just was like, oh yeah, I'm running a race. I never asked her what she was doing. I just, man, that's awesome.
But you know what? I'm happy where I am. Running, I think.
You just don't want to put pressure on yourself.
That is a lot of pressure. And I tend to be very hard on myself and put a lot of pressure on myself. So you can just take it a day at a time and see how it goes.
Yeah. So, you have the coach. Mm-hmm. Did you have the coach when you began?
Yes, that was my first thing. I was like, if I'm going to get into running, I'm hiring a coach. And fortunate for me, working at Starbucks, I've met a lot of people. Yeah. So I had come across Sarah a ton of times, pretty much every morning for a couple of years. And another one of my customers was like, you should talk to her. And it's been a godsend for me, really. I give her all the credit for me being where I am and having me train with a purpose and knowing what I'm doing. Because if it was up to me, I would run really hard, really fast
all the time,
every day and not be where I am.
Right.
So I think that's huge if you really want to get into running and take it really seriously. And that was life-changing as far as my running career.
That's great. That's great. I gotta talk to this woman. We gotta bring her in.
Yes, you should bring Sarah. She is great. She has her own endurance training brand. So she works
that's
with
what I heard.
triathletes, with runners. She's done Kona a couple times.
Geez, she's one of those too, huh?
So
did she qualify for Kona?
She did qualify for Kona twice.
Where do I live that all these people? I said to someone the other day. I said, the funny part is I was started running, and I'm like, and I go to Health Tracks. There's a local gym. And I was training for a New York City Marathon, and I remember being on the treadmill for 3 hours one day and thinking it was middle of winter. And it's funny because when you do a workout like that, you do a run like that, you're there, you start running, and people come and use the treadmill next to you, and then they leave before you're finished. So, and then you're running for an hour, and someone comes, they use the treadmill for a half hour, and then they leave. And it's it makes you feel wow, this is pretty cool. I'm doing something really cool. And I always felt there wasn't a lot of marathoners out there. There wasn't a lot of runners. But then you get in the community and then you realize like a lot of people.
Yeah. And that's what's been, I think, so great about me kind of finding my way in the running community. Like through Sarah, I've met some other really great women that have become really close friends with myself, and I run with them all the time. We train together when we can, which I think is also really important for people just getting into running. I did a lot of running by myself.
That's me.
I thought that's what I enjoyed doing, but it gets really lonely and it gets really hard to push yourself or want to get out of bed some days and go do it. So having this group of women who, even if we're not doing the same thing, even if we're not running side by side, to motivate you and make you want to be there is, I think, really important.
Yeah.
Same thing with same as at Fleet Feet, like finding a community, finding a group of people, finding, even if it's just one person to help hold you accountable and push you is really huge, I think, in making people successful.
So what would you say to someone like me who is, I would say stubborn and pig-headed about running in a group, who says, I tell you, it's hard. And exactly the reason why you said it's, like you don't have anything to be accountable for. So I tried the coach for a while. And it didn't work for me. And I understand why it would work for some people. Mm-hmm. I think for me, part of my problem is, we have 2 kids. We have, just so much going on. It's like to find time to train for an Ironman. It's like, I could, we could end this interview and I'd be like, oh, I got an hour. I got to go swim. Yep. But have a coach, it's like, then you have to call the coach and find out what he want to do, and it's like a process. And in reality, what winds up happening is there goes my open window of an hour.
It's gone.
It's gone because I feel like I didn't, it's like I don't do it, as opposed to where by myself, I might actually get the hour done.
I think it's really about prioritizing and finding what works for you. Running with a group of people doesn't work for everyone. And there are days that I'm like, I just want to run by myself. I want to go. I want to not talk to anyone. I just want to be alone. And there are days where I'm like, wow, like today, I wish I had someone with me to run with because this workout really sucked.
I would say, call me. I'll go running with you. But you would you're like, come on, wait up.
It's really about finding a balance.
Yeah.
And I think that's another big thing for people getting into any sport.
Yeah.
Triathlon even more, because you have so much more that you're doing. I just run and I look at you guys and I'm like, I don't know what the hell they're doing, because I barely find time to run some days.
It's a different world, but
even today, I woke up, set my alarm to go to the gym and was like, I'm good. I'm going to stay in bed today. I don't really want to do that. Yeah. And that's okay. I think that was big for me, is getting over the fact that it's okay to say, I want to stay in bed today. I would rather do that than go do my workout and be mad that it wasn't the best workout or that I didn't get the most out of it. So
yeah,
really
different days are different, I think. It's like if you can get away with that once in a while.
Yeah. That's definitely a once in a while thing for me.
Yeah. If it starts turning into a habit, and see, like I'm a creature of habit. And so, I started doing these morning podcasts and I set my alarm for 5. And it's kind of slowly been creeping. I hit snooze an extra time here and there, and now it's like 6 and whatever. But it's people talk about like motivation versus discipline. That's kind of like, I've talked a lot about this on the show in the past. And it's like, I think motivation can take you for a little while, but I think discipline is what, turns you from a part-time runner or hey, I'm motivated to do a half. So you do the half and then you fall off the wagon, which is what I've done time and time again. And I think this time I'm trying to be disciplined about it. And then it's really, I think it's helping me. But like I said, I'm a creature of habit. So for me, if I start sleeping late, that's going to become a habit.
Well, I think you can't let it become a chore either. I think that's like what happened to me in college, is that running became a chore. So once it becomes something that you don't want to do, you can find every excuse in the world. You can hit snooze another 12 times. Yep. You can decide that that's not what you want to do. So you have to do what feels right and do what feels good. And if one day it doesn't, that's, you don't lose all your training because you hit snooze one day.
The payoff sometimes though, like you finish when you come in 6th in a marathon, or if I finish an Ironman, which I've done 66% of the time, it's like that feeling is just worth the journey. Mm-hmm. And so it's like, and I don't know, I feel like, I think more and more as I get older, and it's not so much a regret as like I didn't do this when I was younger, but sometimes I do feel like maybe I should have, I think college did that to me too. So I played sports in college, but I played football and baseball. And sort of leaving college and leaving those sports behind, it took something like a competitiveness out from me, and it took a long time to get that back. And I guess I found it here. And I think, maybe, running was the punishment. And, you talk about getting sick of running.
For a lot of sports, it is.
And running, so running, was something I didn't really want to do in my brain. And all of a sudden it's like it flicked the switch. It's like, wow, it's actually fun. And it's fun. You don't think you can race. Like I could never compete with you, but I can compete against myself. And that's probably what you guys talk about all the time with your groups.
It is.
And that's why it's so supportive.
And it is. And, for some people, they don't want to qualify for Boston. They don't want to have their fastest race ever. They just want to go out and finish and have a good time and be with their friends.
Yeah.
And that's great too. It doesn't have to be about having this giant lofty goal. Just whatever is going to make you happy that you woke up and that's what you did that day.
Absolutely. What's interesting about it is, you can go out and come in 10th and feel like you had a crappy race. And then 2 hours later, I could finish, but have the PR and feel like I had a great race. You know what I mean? It's just like,
it's all relative.
It's all right. Exactly. And that's why I think it's so supportive and it's such a great community. I always say maybe in regular everyday life, like 20% of the people that you meet are probably jerks. But I think in the running community, it kind of drops to 5 to 10%.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that. It's just very supportive. You still have those people that you have quiet competition with that you're kind of staring at before a race, like, oh, I don't know about that one. But you'll high five them at the finish, but they're not your favorite person, but you're still supportive. And I can't tell you the amount of times that I've done a race and been next to someone and we've pulled each other through a race. And I think that's even better.
Right.
I ran the Surftown Half Marathon in Rhode Island, and I ran with a girl 12 miles, and we just talked the whole time, and she was like, this is what I want to run, this is what I want to run. We had the same goal and ran together the whole time.
See, now were you competitive? Were you competitive in that race? Did you come close to winning? Did you?
I finished second. She finished right behind me, third.
All right.
But
see, I would feel this is I feel like if I was chatting with somebody and I was being competitive, or if I was going for a PR, I feel like that would take away from my performance.
It's kind of a little give and take. So her and I were kind of back and forth the first couple miles, and she finally kind of fell back to me and said, "Don't worry about me." I think she could tell. I'm a very competitive person. If you ask my husband, the name of the game is Cat Wins. Cat always wins. Whether it's true or not, that's how I feel a lot of the time. And she dropped back a little and was like, hey, she's like, don't worry about me. Let's just focus on that girl. And we pulled each other along for a while.
That's pretty cool.
She fell back a little bit. I finished, and I stood at the finish line waiting for her because without her for 10 of those miles, I don't think I would have finished where I finished. And I think that's what's really awesome about the running community. Yeah, you're competing against each other, but you also want to see people be successful.
Yeah. That's awesome. So we did that, when I ran Lake Placid, we had a similar, so I was running with this guy the whole way, and we were just trying, just talking to each other, and we'd run 3 telephone poles, and then we'd walk 3 telephone poles, and we got to the end, and so at the Ironman finish, obviously they call you an Ironman. It's like a moment where you want to kind of be by yourself. You don't want to, even though we ran the whole way, it's like a moment to enjoy. It's
your moment. That's why people do it.
So we kind of
an Ironman.
So we had to have that conversation of who gets to go first. And he had already done one. So he's like, this one's yours. You go.
That's awesome.
And it's just not, it's a cool, I don't know. It is a cool way to enjoy a race. And I'm just surprised that you could do that and chat with somebody at that speed.
It's more of a vague mumble, but there are kind of words coming out.
It's a different language. You just understand it at that point, I guess.
But it is. I think that's inspiring. It's helpful. It's, you would want someone to do that for you. So as much as it's a race, I don't know. It's a feel good moment too. Right.
It sounds, and really, Boston Marathon last year.
Yeah.
Right.
Shalane and Des. Yeah.
Yeah. Des wasn't, she was just there to bring Shalane back to the front, and then she wins.
Yeah.
Crazy. So it does happen at the highest levels.
I think karma's a thing. Good things happen to good people.
That's true. Well, listen, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
This was awesome.
Thank you for having me.
I had a blast. I hope my sound comes out really well. I haven't really tested out these mics downstairs. I'll see you in the store.
Sounds good.
Yeah, that's great. And so good luck to you training.
Thank you.
And are you doing Holyoke this year?
I am doing Holyoke this year.
I don't think we are, but maybe I will now.
You have to. Everyone.
I know, right? I haven't done it the last 2 years. have a great story about that, but I'll tell it to you another time. Yeah, like we've had I think I did New York City half one year. It was the same weekend. And last year, I forget what happened. We had something come up last minute that we couldn't do it. And then, so I haven't done it in the last 2 years, so I missed the tuba guy.
Ugh. I never see tuba guy, so if I do start seeing tuba guy, there's a problem.
Tuba guy is crazy. I gotta have that guy in the podcast. That's what I need.
Yes.
Anyway, so listen, we'll wrap up. Thanks so much for coming on.
Thanks for having me. This was awesome.
And next week, I kind of have this idea where I want to do like a in-studio video show. I just haven't figured out how to keep my camera on for more than half an hour. And I always keep my guests here forever. I wanted to try today, but, yeah, my camera shuts off after like 30 minutes, so I don't know what to do. So I was thinking of doing like an in-studio series where, you know how like Joe Rogan's podcast is always on YouTube and stuff? Mm-hmm. I want to do that, but, I don't know. I'll figure it out. I'm just not tech savvy. I'll figure it out though. Until then, I guess, I don't even know who to bring on for next week. I have like a list of people I want to bring on, and, yeah, you see Tim Murphy's name on there?
I do. We'll have to get him in here.
Yeah, tell him he's on the board.
I'll let him know. That means it has to happen.
And the Girls on the Run people, they've been ducking me. They're local. So see, I have some local people coming in. I think it would be really cool to do like a local series of podcasts. We'll see how that works. I just wanted to shout out to Debbie early. I hope that you are running your 15-miler. If I can process this podcast and get it out for you, on Saturday. I know you wanted to listen to it, so hopefully this is helping you get through it. And, until next week, always remember, when it comes to running, I'm no expert. I'm just ordinary.